I held off on making this video because I typically really dislike making negative videos on my channel. I like to keep it upbeat and positive, and especially when I'm talking about a series that I genuinely, truly love, like Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, I've literally built my small, little, tiny empire of this YouTube channel on Jujutsu Kaisen, and I've never shied away from the fact that I am a fanboy, I'm a glazer, I'm a dick rider of JJK, if you will. And I want nothing but the best for the story. However, I gotta talk about this Yuta Gojo and Gojo situation. It is stressing me out a little bit.
Sometimes you gotta close the door to open a window.
Before we get any further into this video, I just want to say that I want to make it very clear that this is not going to be the gay type of video. This is not me going to be shitting all over the story. It's me expressing a dislike of the events that's happened and have occurred. And we're going to do it in a bullshit sandwich type of way here. We're going to start with something good, and then we're going to move into the bad, and then we're going to finish with something good. Make the meal a little bit tastier here. But firstly, I want to talk about the development of Yuta's character, and also Gojo's indirectly through Yuta. Now, I've talked about this briefly in a review video that was some time ago. I think it was when the chapter happened where Gojo was taken over by Yuta, but I've not had the chance to fully deep dive into it yet. But Gege, I think, personally did a absolutely sublime job with Yuta's ascension into becoming a quote-unquote monster. This was something that was set up way back when in the Sendai colony. I mean, you could even go as far as to say it was just set up from like JJK 0, which is quite insane. But it was set up primarily in the Sendai colony arc, with Uro telling Yuta about him approaching his limit, and how she's seen what lies beyond just mere being a sorcery here. And it's at this point we're shown a full sketch of Hyanera looking fucking sensual, looking amazing, and Gege's intentions with this was an obvious and direct comparison of Yuta's character and his future intentions with Yuta as a whole, which I thought was sublime. I thought it was fucking incredible, quite frankly. Not only this, but it's at this point in the series Yuta officially becomes the only character in the series to have had parallels drawn between himself and Gojo, and also Sukuna, which I pointed out and people called me kind of crazy, but it's the fact that this happens. It was too on the nose at that point. It pretty heavily foreshadowed Yuta's rise to power here, and this coupled with Gojo's push for Yuta leading sort of the next generation and him trusting him to take care of the students just in case anything ever happened to Gojo, alongside Kenjaku telling Gojo he can't be the next Gojo, only for Yuta to literally kill Kenjaku and then become the very next Gojo in the most literal fucking way possible. Like, he literally is Gojo right now, which is insane. But that's what I want to talk about here, because Yuta taking over Gojo's body was simply the most unpredictable chain of events I think we've ever seen in Jujutsu Kaisen. It was genuinely an unpredictable move from Gege. I mean, literally, everyone was so worried about Sukuna or Kenjaku doing this, or just Gojo's death, or Gojo's comeback in some way, shape, or form, that they never stopped to think about how one of the students might adopt the same fucked up tactics that Kenjaku and Sukuna have been using this entire fucking series. But on top of this, Yuta got Gojo's blessing. Gojo himself said, I'm cool with it, that's fine, just make sure you don't fucking go to waste with the body. And in these little conversations, we get more depth and insight into Yuta's character alongside Gojo, with these brief exchange through Gege's favorite medium, the flashback. And it was nice. One particular flashback drove home just how close Gojo and Yuta were, and how he, in the series so far, Yuta has shown the best understanding of Gojo's plight and his struggle of being the strongest and almost being treated as a tool or a monster, quote-unquote, which is where I get to the part that I started to dislike. I mean, it really comes heavily out of this last chapter, and again, as I said, I wanted to hold off on this chapter because Yuta's performance throughout this fight has been fucking phenomenal, but we'll get into that in a sec. I also want to say how Gege building up to this massive reveal of Yuta taking over Gojo's body, he had all this set up for, like, ages, all for it to last, like, 2 chapters, and that kind of stung. Now, I don't need to state just how fucking important Gojo was, not only in the series, but also within the fandom. I mean, the impact this dude had within the verse, and then also culturally, is fucking insane. Like, people legit made memorials for this dude. This is a fictional character. People had memorials set up. We've got celebrities referencing him, cosplaying him. He is literally a generational icon at this point. It's actually insane the cultural impact that this dude had. We've got rappers referencing Yuji and Gojo in their raps. Like, it's just common knowledge now. This dude he's mainstream now. He's had such a massive cultural impact So the fact that the story didn't quite treat him or Yuta with the respect that I think they personally deserved, it kind of felt like a slap in the face. Now, as you can imagine, setting all of this up to have Yuta fumble in the most spectacular way, I can't lie when I say this, seeing Yuta fall on his face like that, I hurt like fucking hell. And again, I know it's not my story to tell. I can't sit here and say, well, Gege's a bad writer. I have to trust the process, but that doesn't mean that I can't dislike certain elements of the story. It doesn't make them bad, because remember, if you don't like a story, that doesn't mean it's bad, okay? Objectively, it doesn't mean it's bad. Subjectively, sure, you might not like it, but that doesn't mean it's objectively a bad or a fucking horrible story. Seeing all this, it hurt like hell, because the impact that Yuta and Yuji have had on this fight overall legitimately has been actually insane. Like, on a genuinely serious note, you could actually argue at this point that Yuta and Yuji combined have done either equal or just more slightly damage to Sukuna than Gojo did overall, which in my eyes is fucking nuts. Like, these two have genuinely put in damage. Like, we've got Yuji here who just made Sukuna chuck up his fucking fingers. We didn't think we would ever see Sukuna in this kind of state. This is a point right here where Yuta and Yuji have got this man to a point where he even questions that if this keeps going, I'm going to lose. He literally says that in his brain in this chapter. So to have Yuta fumble and possibly squander that incredible fucking run and character build-up and an opportunity to really answer the question fully of, is Gojo the strongest because he's Gojo, or is he Gojo because he's the strongest? It just felt like a genuine waste. I would have loved to have seen at least bare minimum 6 chapters, or maybe 7, at least bare minimum, of seeing what Yuta could do in this body, him getting to grips with the body, him learning the body, him coming up with something new that Gojo never thought of, something different to put him on there and have him actually die in combat. Don't actually have him just fall flat on his face. And that's, I think, what upset me the most about it. And again, as I said, it's not my fucking story to tell. I can't sit here and say it's a bad story, because I'm never going to do that. But I will always express a dislike for certain elements in the story. As much as I am a fanboy for Gege, I've always liked to keep it open and honest with you guys. I'd like to try and say, you know, the good with the bad. I recognize it's not a perfect story. As much as I fucking love the story, I recognize it's not perfect. However, in true weeb fashion here, this video would not be complete without some copium and some fucking crackpot to finish the complete and utter beverage or the bullshit sandwich right here. But something that we see Yuta witness Gojo do in his last fight against Sukuna here was the healing of a burnt out curse technique. And now Yuta is kind of conscious, trapped inside Gojo's body, which, if I'm honest, that is fucking horrifying as a fate. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that's what upsets me more, is that I would much rather him just die than be trapped in his sensei's body like this, because Yuta shows that he is conscious. He shows that he is thinking while he's face down on the floor, and it's just, he's just paralyzed, and that is terrifying. That is a horrifying thought to think about. And like, just think about if you were watching this video right now and you couldn't do anything. You couldn't move, you couldn't blink, you couldn't fucking scratch your balls, you couldn't do anything, bro. And you just, that's it. That's how you are now for the rest of your life. That's it. That is horrifying, Faith. That is horrifying. However, it is entirely possible that Yuta could heal this burnt out, potentially with Limitless, and heal the body full throttle to the point where the brain starts to operate normal with the body. Maybe even a binding vow, trading off the ability of an eye to possibly move again. I know that chapter, like, we've got Yuji and Todo both making use of binding vows, which I finally, by the way, fucking Gege. It took you till like the 11th hour for our protagonist to finally start implementing some binding vows and getting the fucking benefits of them, which is fucking huge. I would like to see the trade-offs for them. I've got a strong feeling Todo is never going to be able to use Boogie Woogie again, because he says one more time. It kind of makes me sad. And obviously Angel, I'm going to assume that Angel was way back in that TV monitor room still, just watching the whole events, which means she got traded out from a very fucking far distance. So it's very interesting to see what it is. But you could see a potential possibility of Yuta maybe losing. Guys, it's an age-old theory that has been around in this community for a long fucking time about Gojo potentially losing one of his eyes to gain more power or to do something. Maybe it could be the case that it's Yuta that ends up doing this, and he ends up losing an eye to stand and fight again, because I would much rather see that than what's happened to him here. Out of all of the deaths in the series, seeing this happen to a character that had so much hype and foreshadowing feels like a real kick in the teeth. Like, the only way I can describe this to you is, imagine if Gege did the same thing to Gojo or Yuji. Imagine if some way, shape or form now Yuji just fell flat on his face and was just trapped in a body and he couldn't do anything. It's just, I think it's a wild turn of events. But again, as always, I'm going to let Gege cook because honestly, who fucking knows at this point? We are actually in the last arc, apparently. I still think we're going to go to about 300 chapters, to be honest with you. I don't think this Jacob's Ladder is going to hit. And if it does hit, I think we're probably going to get the merger. I think we're probably going to end up at around 300 chapters before this series ends, if I'm honest. But yeah, I got to let Gege cook. I gotta trust the process here because it's just a scary time. And I want nothing for the best for the story. I specifically want nothing for the best for my fucking goat, Yuta. No one wants to see their favorite character get fucking bodied like this. But anyways, that is everything from me. I wanted to get on here, a little bit of rant. I hate making negative videos, genuinely, so don't expect many more of these. I fucking hate this, because it always just breeds negativity in the comments, and because whenever you make negative videos like this, the fandom just sort of goes hog wild. It just goes crazy with it. So, if you are going to have a discussion in the comments, please be civil. Please. That's all I ask. That's all I ever ask. Anyways, that is everything from me. Much fucking love. I'll catch you guys all in the fucking next one. Let me know what you thought of the video down below. And that is everything from me. Much fucking love. Big fucking kisses.